Tashtale and welcome to Tibet This Week, a weekly news on Tibet, His Holiness the Dalai Lama and the Central Tibetan Administration. Let's look at the headlines first. His Holiness the Dalai Lama grants special audience to the staff of the Central Tibetan Administration. Kashag appoints former Parliamentarian Thupten Wangchen as the new representative to Latin America. Tibet Information Office meets Human Rights Watch, raises concerns over China's new ethnic unity law. Representative Dr. Tsewang Arya leads researchers for briefing at the Japanese Parliament. Representative Rinzing Genkhang joins European Buddhist Union leadership at 2026 Annual General Meeting. CTA Chinese liaison officers engage with youth and Chinese pro-democracy activists. Office of Tibet Geneva hosts Tibetan cultural performance tour in Europe. On Tuesday this week, His Holiness the Dalai Lama granted a special audience to the civil servants of the Central Tibetan Administration at the courtyard of the main temple of 𝑻𝒊𝒃𝒆𝒕. This special audience was requested by the Cabinet Secretariat to seek inspiration and blessings for the staff members to carry forward their responsibilities with renewed dedication and energy. On behalf of all the staff members, Cabinet Secretary 𝒌 offered a statue of white Tara, the embodiment of compassion and longevity, to His Holiness the Dalai Lama as a humble expression of devotion, gratitude and reverence. Traditionally, such special audiences for CTA staff were held every few years. However, in recent times, the intervals between these gatherings have grown longer, making the audience this time all the more meaningful and deeply cherished by those present. Venerable Thupten Wangchen, former member of the Tibetan Parliament in exile, has been appointed as the new representative of His Holiness the Dalai Lama to Latin America at the Tibet House in Brazil. Venerable Wangchen has previously served for 3 consecutive terms as a member of the Tibetan Parliament in exile for Europe and Africa. He was the first ever Tibetan to reside permanently in Spain. He has also established a cultural center called Tibet House Foundation in Barcelona to enhance the dissemination and advocacy of Tibetan culture, human rights, cooperation and solidarity with the Tibetan people in exile, which was inaugurated by His Holiness the Dalai Lama in 1994. He will assume office from Monday next week. Representative 𝒂 of the Tibet Information Office, accompanied by Chinese liaison officer 𝒂 and renowned former Tibetan political prisoner and human rights advocate 𝒂𝒉𝒃𝒆𝒕, met with Daniela Gafshon, Australia Director of Human Rights Watch, and Human Rights Watch researcher Yalkun Uluyol last Thursday in Sydney. The Tibetan representatives briefed them on the ongoing human rights situation in Tibet and expressed deep concern over China's so-called ethnic unity and progress law and its far-reaching implications for the human rights of Tibetans and other minorities. Representative Dr. Tsewang Arya of the Liaison Office of His Holiness the Dalai Lama for Japan and East Asia led a group of researchers and activists to address and brief the members of the bipartisan Japan Parliamentary Support Group for Tibet on the Tibet issue, precisely on the Chinese Communist Party's religious repression and interference in the reincarnation of the Tibetan masters, colonial boarding schools, the recent ethnic unity and progress law, environmental destruction and damming of the Tibetan rivers. Lawmaker Yamatani Eriko, chairperson of the Japan Parliamentary Support Group for Tibet, presided over the meeting that was attended by around 24 lawmakers and their representatives. The group consists of Dr. Gyalpo, Dorji of the Tibet Action Institute, Dr. Lobsang Yangso of the International Tibet Network, Sering Dorji of the Students for Free Tibet Japan, and Ms. Jyotsna Mehra of Closed Door Consulting. The briefing was held at the Japanese Lower House Parliament Building Conference Hall at Nagatacho, Tokyo. The Tibet Action Institute, Closed Door Policy Consulting, and Students for a Free Tibet, Japan also organized a symposium titled Japan, Tibet, India, Reincarnation, Security and Democracy at the University of Tokyo Komaba Complex on Sunday last week. Scholars, academicians, activists, media members, students and the general public attended and participated in the symposium. Ms. Rinzing Genkhang of the Office of Tibet in Brussels attended the annual general meeting of the European Buddhist Union last Saturday. Representative Genkhang issued a call for global solidarity with Tibetan Buddhists and briefed the delegates on the People's Republic of China's intensifying efforts to control the succession of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. The meeting brought together Buddhist representatives from across the continent to discuss the protection of religious rights. The European Buddhist Union continues to urge the international community to refuse recognition of any religious leader appointed by the PRC, advocating instead for the resumption of direct dialogue to resolve the Sino-Tibet conflict. On Tuesday this week, Chinese Liaison Officer 𝒉 of the Office of Tibet in Washington, D.C., spoke to the Tibetan youth in Minnesota on the middle way approach policy, tracing its historical evolution in the context of political landscape changes of contemporary China under Communist Party rule. He examined how the policy has consistently served as a principled and resilient framework of the Tibetan struggle anchored in the values of nonviolence and dialogue. 𝒉 also stressed on the importance of Chinese outreach as an integral component of Tibetan advocacy. The 𝑻𝒉𝒊𝒔 is an initiative and organization started by local Tibetan youths to promote middle way policy in Minnesota. 𝒉 also attended the Tibettv 2026 organized by the Tibetan American Foundation of Minnesota with a collaboration with several Tibetan community organizations, including the Regional Tibetan Women Association of Minnesota, 𝒉𝒊𒔔, 𝒌𝒆𝒌, 𝑻𝒉𝒊𝒔, Regional Tibetan Youth Congress Minnesota, and Students for Free Tibet. The festival showcased the richness of Tibetan culture, traditions, and history, conveying the message of compassion by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. 𝒉, the Chinese liaison officer for European countries from Tibet Bureau Geneva, attended the inauguration ceremony of China Democracy Party's European headquarters in London last Sunday. 𝒉 congratulated China Democracy Party on the establishment of its new office and praised the organization for taking an important step towards greater unity and collective strength. The Office of Tibet in Geneva has organized Tibetan cultural tour performance of the Tibetan Institute of Performing Arts in Europe. The troupe performed in Bratislava, the capital city of Slovak Republic, last Thursday. 26 artists are taking part in the ongoing Tibetan cultural performance across Europe. As part of the ongoing Year of Compassion celebrations by Tibetans and Friends of Tibet across the globe, Tibetans in Odisha 𝒉𝒊𝒔 settlement distributed dry ration and clothing to about 130 needy families from 6 neighboring villages. That's all for this edition of Tibet This Week. See you all next week.